Thank you all for coming to hear me. And I want to speak today about not the past, not how we got here, but about the future, how we proceed from here. And in fact, I don't think that Homo sapiens has much of a future left. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. In a century or two at most, I guess that humans like you and me will disappear, and Earth will be dominated by very different kind of beings or entities. Earth will be dominated by entities, beings that will be more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees.
Science is about to replace natural selection with intelligent design as the chief motor of evolution. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Google cloud, they will be the driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, life is about to break out of the limited organic realm and start spreading into the vastness of the inorganic realm. We are about to create the first inorganic life forms after 4 billion years of evolution. And in the process, our own species, Homo sapiens, is likely to disappear, not because we will destroy ourselves, but because we will change and upgrade ourselves into something very different.
Just think of senses planted into our brains.
The combination of artificial intelligence and bioengineering will create completely new bodily and physical and mental traits that completely break from the hominid and mammalian mold. Consciousness itself might be disconnected from any organic structure, or alternatively, we might see the decoupling of intelligence from consciousness, and Earth will be dominated by entities that are super intelligent but completely non-conscious, highly intelligent computer programs that have no minds, no feelings, no emotions. So really, humankind is about to gain divine powers of creation. We are in the process of becoming gods. And the big question that faces us in the coming decades is what to do with our new godlike powers.
Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Not textiles and vehicles and weapons, but bodies and brains and minds. Then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for? Again, I think that the biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people. AI is nowhere near its full potential. All jobs will disappear, new jobs will emerge, but then the new jobs will rapidly change and vanish. Whereas in the past, humans has had to struggle against exploitation. In the 21st century, the really big struggle will be against irrelevance. The key message I'm hearing from that is people being aware that they are being left behind, that they are becoming irrelevant, and they want to give the system a kick before it is too late. If in the 20th century, the main struggle of the masses was against exploitation, you have an elite that exploits you. In the 21st century, the main struggle might be against irrelevance. You have an elite that doesn't exploit you, it doesn't need you.
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
You know, like when we spoke before, Yuval, my concern was, let's not say anything that's going to startle them. But they are already startled.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are more startled than many of the adults because they will have to live with the consequences. They hopefully will still be around in 2050, 2060, 2080. And they have to take very seriously these possibilities.
And it's much worse to be irrelevant than to be exploited.
Still, there is a big difference between exploitation and irrelevance.
Yes.
When you're exploited, you're still powerful. You're necessary.
You're powerful as long as to be exploited.
Yeah,
your power is in your exploitation.
But they need you. I mean, if you're exploited, for example, you go on strike, and they care about it because they need you. They need you to work in the factory or to serve in the army. When you're irrelevant, you are much less powerful. Irrelevant people can't go on strike. I mean, if they go on strike, who cares?
Those who fail in the struggle against irrelevance would constitute a new useless class.
Somebody's saying, but wait, there is a useless class already. It's not a forecast for 20 or 30 years from now. There are people who are viewed or even view themselves as useless, as outside the system right now. So this was, something very sad to hear, but I think very true. The problem is more boredom and what to do with them and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless. My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games as a solution for more. It's already happening. Under different titles, different headings, you see more and more people spending more and more time or solving their inner problems with drugs and computer games, both legal drugs and illegal drugs.
People who are useless, not from the viewpoint of their friends and family, of course, but useless from the viewpoint of the economic and political system.
I'm already thinking of creating a political movement called
the useless class.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it's got sort of a punkish kind of sexiness to it. We are the useless class.
And this useless class will be separated by an ever-growing gap from the ever more powerful elite.
An elite will continue to control, and as people become less and less necessary, people will be disregarded. This happens already. Well, we don't need slaves anymore. We can afford to pay them a little bit. All right, pay them a little bit then.
Invent democracy for this new era in which humans are now hackable animals. The whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Now scientists are saying, first of all, there is no such thing as free will. Science is familiar with just two kinds of processes in nature. You have deterministic processes, and you have random processes, and of course you have combinations of randomness and determinism, which result in a probabilistic outcome, but none of that is freedom. Freedom has absolutely no meaning from a physical or biological perspective. It's just another myth, another empty term that humans have invented. Humans have invented God, and humans have invented heaven and hell, and humans have invented free will. But there is no more truth to free will than there is to heaven and hell. And as for feelings, they are definitely real. They are not a fiction of our imagination, but feelings are really just biochemical algorithms, and there is nothing metaphysical or supernatural about them. There is no obvious reason to consider them as the highest authority in the world. And most importantly, what scientists and engineers are telling us more and more is that if we only have enough data and enough computing power, we can create external algorithms that understand humans and their feelings much better than humans can understand themselves. And once you have an algorithm that understands you and understands your feeling better than you understand yourself, this is the point when authority really shifts away from humans to algorithms.
A powerful elite of algorithms that are not human, that are probably have no consciousness, but they increasingly run the world. These algorithms may have been designed at first by humans, but then they continue to evolve and learn by themselves. They may technically still be subservient to humans, but increasingly they will make the most important decisions, and we won't even understand how and why.
But maybe the most important impact of the new technologies is that they will change the very meaning of humanity, and they will change the basic rules of the game of life.
We don't want to become the slaves of robots, of algorithms. No, we want to make sure that this revolution serves humanity.
Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself. Because today, data is the most important asset in the world.
Corporations like Apple or Amazon or Google or Facebook that began as strictly infotech corporations are increasingly becoming biotech, because really there is no longer any essential difference between the two. And we are very close to the point when, unlike the KGB and unlike the Catholic Church, Facebook or Google will be able to understand you better than you understand yourself, because they will have the data, they will have the biological knowledge, and they will have the computing power necessary to understand exactly how you feel and why you feel the way that you feel.
To hack a human being is to get to know that person better than they know themselves. And based on that, to increasingly manipulate you.
How do we build AI in such a way that it's not inherently a tool of surveillance and manipulation and control? I mean, this goes back to the idea of creating something that knows you better than you know yourself, which is kind of the ultimate surveillance and control tool. And we are building it now in different places around the world. It's being built. And what are your thoughts about how to build an AI which serves individual people and protects individual people, and not an AI which can easily, with a flip of a switch, becomes kind of the ultimate surveillance tool?
Well, I think that is more about the values and the policy framework than the technological development.
We need to create frameworks. We have to create standards in order to make sure that we still can cooperate on a global level in using those technologies.
B times C times D equals R, which means biological knowledge multiplied by computing power multiplied by data equals the ability to hack humans, R. If you know enough biology and you have enough computing power and data, you can hack my body and my brain and my life, and you can understand me better than I understand myself. Let's say you live in North Korea, and you have to wear this bracelet, which constantly monitors what is happening inside your body. And you walk into a room, and you see the picture of the dear leader on the wall, and the bracelet can know what is happening to your brain, to your blood pressure, as you see this picture. So this really what is meant by a digital dictatorship.
I mean, it makes 1984 sound positively...
Child's play.
Child's play,
Yeah.
exactly. You say you don't know what to do about this, but imagine for a moment that you were dictator, be that digital or not. What would you do right now to help humanity deal with this? Would you like to just throw away all of those biometric devices?
No, it's absolutely, as I said, it's absolutely impossible to go back, especially in terms of technology and science. Even if one country or an entire continent is freaked out by the possibilities and they say, we stop all research in this field, you can't force other countries to do the same. And then you have your own, I mean, you have a race to the bottom, unless you have some global agreement on how to deal with this, then no country would like to stay behind in the race.
Certainly, now we are at a point when we need global cooperation. You cannot regulate the explosive power of artificial intelligence on a national level.
I don't know whether you could read my mind.
Now, when I read Harry Potter or when I watch Star Wars or things like that, they always make the same mistake, that they depict the bad guys as just terrible and ugly and repulsive. And then you're left with the sense, why would anybody follow Voldemort? Why would anybody follow Darth Vader? These guys, they are ugly, they are mean, even to their own supporters. They are mean and cruel. And then you don't understand what is seductive about the dark side. And the thing is, the dark side is very seductive because for the people in it, it's very beautiful.
Yes.
Again, you look in the mirror, you see the most beautiful thing in the world. This is something that, traditional Christian art understood much better than modern science fiction.
You mean that the devil would be beautiful?
The devil is beautiful. Otherwise, who would be tempted?
Gazoo, the former headmaster scientist on planet Zetox.